Uh-oh.
Okay, we'll start with this. A look at what is intended to be reigning WBA bantamweight champion Nina Hughes' brand new start, her departure from Matchroom, and what will be her very first fight under the Lou DiBella Entertainment banner. Nina Hughes has made the long pilgrimage to Perth, Australia, to defend her WBA title against Shernika Johnson, a title defense that finally ends a period of much frustration for the British fighter, a career confined and put on hold due to the shackles of boxing politics. Apart from a routine victory over the late substitute Katie Healy last June, the promised land of the Matchroom bubble didn't quite work out for Hughes. A fight with the rival world champion Ebony Bridges never materialized. A proposed fight with Shannon Courtenay was on and then off multiple times. Offers were made. Hughes said yes, but it takes two. The lack of a fight of any description nearly costed Hughes her WBA title. When Hughes signed a contract that promised everything but ultimately produced very little, her time at Matchroom was not fruitful, but I wouldn't blame Matchroom for that. When Hughes signed a contract that promised everything but ultimately produced very little, the belt was seemingly more important than the person. Eventually, Hughes and Matchroom parted ways. Trust me, it had been coming. What it was, when Matchroom signed Nina Hughes, it was with an Ebony Bridges unification match in mind. Here's the problem. Ebony Bridges had been putting off a hand surgery for a long time going into the Shannon O'Connell fight, and when she won the fight, she finally decided to have that surgery, but it derailed her for several months. She had to recover, so she wasn't going to go right into the Nina Hughes unification straight away. Enough time had passed that she needed a tune-up fight, and she ended up getting tuned up by Japan's own Miyo Yoshida. She lost her belt, effectively killing the Nina Hughes fight, at which point Matchroom didn't have much use for Nina Hughes. The split with Matchroom was thankfully swiftly followed by a hookup with Lou DiBella, and soon after, Hughes finally got a date for her long-delayed return against a fighter who was last seen the night Hughes beat Healy at the Wembley Arena. Shernika Johnson, she lost her IBF Super Bantamweight title to Ellie Scottney on points in a bloody affair, but the Australian will get an immediate opportunity to win another world title against Nina this weekend on the undercard of Lomachenko versus Kambosos. And here's the thing. While Nina may have had her reasons to leave Matchroom and go somewhere else, this is not the ideal situation for her. This is not the ideal fight. It will be roughly 11 months, close to a year, since Nina Hughes has seen action, and she's a lot older than Shernika Johnson. Hughes will just be glad, and more than a touch relieved, to be back inside a boxing ring again. At 41, Hughes has a wasted 2023. The following 12 months can't follow in the same direction. Nina Hughes will know time is not on her side. She can't be sat on the sidelines any longer, but the long-awaited return won't be easy. Defending a world title on away soil against the hometown fighter is often fraught with danger. Hughes knows she will have to win beyond doubt. She might not. A little rumbling sideshow behind the scenes about the judges for her fight with Johnson epitomizes the problems you sometimes face without the benefits of being the home fighter, which Shernika Johnson is, which Nina Hughes isn't. You see the problem? Nina's about 12 years older than Shernika Johnson, and while she does have good amateur experience as a professional, Shernika actually has more rounds in the bank. Shernika actually has a lot more fights than Nina Hughes does.
Said if I were Nina Hughes' manager, or her promoter, this would not be the fight that I put her in after such a long stint of inactivity. And you may be telling yourself, well, Shernika is coming off that loss to Ellie Scottney.
But she's still younger, she still has more rounds in the bank, and she still has home field advantage. For this to be Nina's first fight under the DiBella Entertainment banner, I just get the sense that
whether Nina was aware of it or not, Lou's not doing her any favors.
What are you trying to say?
Well, that whoever's idea it was to put Nina in the ring with Shernika, it's likely because they would prefer that Shernika have that title instead of Nina. Shernika's younger, let's be honest. She's fucking hot.
That makes her marketable, a more marketable fighter than Nina Hughes. Leon Sudbury of Team Hughes is calling for a neutral judging panel for Nina, saying, I wouldn't say there were concerns. The WBA constructed a whole judging panel from New Zealand and a ref from New Zealand. I think Lou DiBella and his team jumped straight on that and they changed it to an all-Australian judging team and Australian referee. The other two title fights have totally neutral panels. So we spoke to Lou DiBella. Lou's a man of his word, so Lou's sorting it out right now. It's a 50-50 fight. We want to keep it a 50-50 fight.
Do you see what I mean?
Fighters that have left Matchroom have left Matchroom with mixed results, mixed success. It more or less worked out for Natasha Jonas and Chris Billum-Smith to some degree, but not for Lawrence Okoli, not for Joshua Buatsi.
And not for Nina Hughes if she loses her title this weekend. I think she's going to.
It's not my opinion that every fighter should stick it out and stay with Matchroom. It's just an objective view that either leaving Matchroom worked out or it didn't.
And it's as simple as that.
That if your first fight away from the Matchroom banner under Lou DiBella is a Shernika Johnson fight, and you end up losing that fight as the away fighter, as the away champion, and perhaps a fight that you shouldn't have been in, well then things didn't work out, did they?
No.
You can root for Nina Hughes. You can support her. I'm just saying that looking at this, she might lose the belt. By hook or by crook, the WBA title may change hands this weekend.
Dubious decisions aside and home field advantage aside, Shernika actually is a really good fighter.
She could beat Nina legitimately with no help from the judges, no special consideration. I'm just saying that under these circumstances, that possibility is there.
Talk more about it as the fight date approaches.
Now, as it pertains to the main event of that same card, that same show, George Kambosos versus Vasyl Lomachenko, George says, our careers are on the line here. Legacy is on the line here. I believe this is my destiny. Most believe that Vasyl Lomachenko, in spite of being older, perhaps a bit slower, and having lost a step, he hasn't lost so much that he can't beat George Kambosos. I can't think of a single thing that George Kambosos does better than Vasyl Lomachenko, a single thing that he has over him.
And I don't say that despite him. It's nothing against George, but looking at the fight, I think Loma's gonna win. And I think most people have Loma winning.
He's still coming off that controversial loss to Devin Haney. It's been a year since that fight, if you can believe that. The fight that took place in May of last year, it's already been a year since then.
He was cheated.
If you ask me, and many others, he was cheated out of the victory, and it was awarded to Devin Haney, who didn't deserve it. In some ways, karma came for Devin.
How?
Because in some ways, Devin Haney winning that fight cheated Vasyl Lomachenko. In turn, Devin Haney was cheated by Ryan Garcia.
Few nuances aside.
That Devin won a decision that he didn't deserve, where Ryan used steroids to beat Devin. There are some differences. It still feels like kismet, like karma. It's only fitting that a Vasyl Lomachenko victory this weekend, becoming a two-time lightweight champion, and his body of work already may see him return to the Ring IQ pound-for-pound list where Devin Haney has been ejected.
What?
You know what the rules are. No fighter coming right off a loss is allowed to maintain a rank. The list is only for winners and only for champions.
Now, Devin Haney might still be a champion, but he's not a winner, and that decision hasn't been overturned.
Not yet. I suspect that it might, though it may take some time. While it does, Devin Haney can go back to the drawing board, decide what he wants to do, get back in the winner's bracket at 140, at 147. We'll see, but for the time being, he's not on the Ring IQ pound-for-pound list, and I've held off on updating it, waiting for this fight.
There are some good shouts.
Multi-division champions that might be worthy of a rank, like Kosei Tanaka of Japan, Junto Nakatani.
Unified champion, Yanni Kanalai.
Just some names that are floating around, and some names that come to mind when I thought about who should occupy that spot. But none of them are more worthy than Vasyl Lomachenko, who already has an accomplished body of work himself. He's been a 3-division champion, and if he wins this weekend, that makes him a 2-time lightweight champion.
Beat 3 world champions, Rocky Martinez at 130 pounds, Jorge Linares at 135, and Jose Pedraza
is already a unified champion at this weight. He could become a 2-time lightweight champion this weekend. I think that he's going to, and I think he's going to in spectacular fashion. I think he's about to beat George in better fashion than Devin Haney did.
I think he's going to stop him.
George Cambodia has never been stopped. We know that when he fought Teofimo, he beat Teofimo, where most people were expecting Teofimo to beat him. And even though Devin Haney dominated George, he didn't stop him. He didn't stop him in either fight, where I think Vasyl Lomachenko is about to.
Why?
I don't see what George has to keep him out or keep him off. I don't think he's as quick to the draw as Vasyl Lomachenko. I don't think he has faster hands or faster feet. I don't actually think he punches as hard as Vasyl Lomachenko.
He's not the same kind of combination puncher that Vasyl Lomachenko is. He doesn't string punches together like him.
He's gonna want to. He's going to want to take it out of the judge's hands as to not go through what he went through the last time. The last time he fought Devin Haney, he did enough in my view, more than enough to have won that fight, and the judges stole it from him. Now, as the away fighter in Australia, he's going to go for broke.
It's been a year since he last fought.
And I know that he may be feeling somewhat disenfranchised and disillusioned with the sport of boxing, but you know what? He's still here. He hasn't retired.
We haven't heard a lot from him.
But he wasn't ever the most talkative guy to begin with, and all that time away may have allowed that anger to build, because I do think he's angry. The opening bell sounds, he's back on mission mode, and he's gonna do whatever he has to do to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
They can't take it from him because he won't let them. I think he's gonna stop this guy because he wants to, and mostly because George can't stop him.
He doesn't have power like Teofimo Lopez had power to keep Loma honest.
He's really not as big a guy as Devin Haney in terms of height and length and physical dimensions. George is a modest-sized lightweight.
We saw what he looked like with Maxie Hughes, a mobile southpaw. Here you have an even more mobile southpaw, more well-schooled, with more power.
Yeah, Loma's better than Maxie Hughes.
Lost that Maxie Hughes fight, or he should have lost, but I guess they threw him a lifeline long enough that Vasyl Lomachenko gets to beat up on him. He gets to beat him now.
And I think he's going to, but not just beat on him, I think he's gonna stop him, because Loma, once he gets going, what's George gonna do about it?
How's he gonna keep him off?
See a stoppage. I see a stoppage akin to the stoppage we saw in the Masayoshi Nakatani fight over a year ago. That's the kind of fight I think this is going to be for Loma.
A TKO stoppage, an accumulation stoppage late into the fight, because George, God bless him, he is tough. And if that prediction sticks, Vasyl Lomachenko will be reintegrated into the Ring IQ pound-for-pound list. Men's super lightweight or welterweight news, it's Ryan Garcia we're talking about. Ryan Garcia on his behavior before the Devin Haney fight. No, it wasn't fake. Everything I did was just things I felt I needed to do in my soul and my spirit. I don't regret anything. Was some of it trolling? For sure. Was some of it real? For sure.
What was real and what was fake?
That's the caveat of the digital era, that whatever you say, as soon as you put it out there, it's gonna pop up all over the place. From the Patrick Bet David podcast, the boxing channels just like this one that saw Ryan Garcia immediately gloating after the fight about how it was all fake.
Oh, no, it wasn't?
Was this all an act? What part of it was real? Tell us about it.
I mean, my cameraman Chance, Ajay's there. Hey, we have it pre-recorded months ago. What did I say was gonna happen? I said, I'm about to make sure everybody thinks I'm gonna go crazy. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Watch, it's gonna be called The Great Escape. Like, I have it all documented. I was already planning it, weeks and weeks and months behind.
You said you planned this. You said you wanted people to think you were going crazy, and you planned it months and months behind.
But now that you've popped hot for steroids, you want to take it all back? Clean up your image?
He said, if I was on steroids, I would have been in way better shape. I was literally drinking and smoking every day. Smoking weed. I didn't stop. Not even the fucking day of the fight. I got in there high as fuck and beat his ass. It was so easy.
The steroids might have something to do with that. That, not even bothering to make the weight. See, when you say stuff like that I was drinking and smoking every day going into the fight, and then you admit you deliberately missed weight under the instruction of Floyd Mayweather.
You did it on purpose because he told you to. That tells the story of a fighter who thinks that he's above the law, above the rules. He doesn't want to play by them. He wants to play by his own rules. The kind of person that might pursue a competitive edge with performance-enhancing drugs. So it's no coincidence that they were found in his system.
But I thought you said you didn't care about steroids.
I don't. As far as I'm concerned, the entire sport of boxing may well be doping, and some guys just do a better job of hiding it, but that's not the point, and that's not what the argument is. Ryan's supporters, Ryan's fans are the ones asserting his innocence. All I'm saying is that he's guilty.
Ryan is asserting his innocence.
And all I'm saying is that I think he's guilty. I think he's lying. I think he got caught. And everything he's done and admitted to in the build-up and the aftermath of this fight tells that story. A guy who's drinking and smoking in the build-up of a fight like this, a guy who doesn't bother to make the weight and then he admits it.
Tries to convince people that he's having a mental breakdown.
He sounds like the kind of loose cannon that would resort to using banned substances to achieve a competitive edge. So don't argue to me about how the victory isn't tainted. The victory is tainted.
Because he's dirty.
I don't care if you sat behind Ryan in math class, or you used to live down the street from him, or maybe you share the same ancestry.
Doesn't matter.
And even if you think there are more people doping in the sport of boxing than most realize, don't try and shift the focus to them. And don't try and shift the focus to that to take the attention off Ryan.
Because he's the one who pissed hot, so why don't you address that first?
It's not that I expect much to come from this. Ryan Garcia, like many fighters before him, will get a slap on the wrist and he'll be back out there before you know it.
So because the fight took place in New York, under the auspices of the New York State Athletic Commission, which is a bit more stringent and a bit more rigid than some other commissions, the victory might be overturned and ruled a no contest. It might.
I wouldn't be surprised. What Ryan wants is for us to question everything and everyone but him, as if he's such an upstanding or outstanding character, so moral.
Oh, so for you to be innocent, they have to be guilty? And when does this dog and pony show end? I mean, if we're gonna entertain you,
I guess we would then have to entertain every single fighter that's ever tested positive for a banned substance that came with a cockamamie explanation, some sob story about how they don't know what happened, because they sound just like you.
are they all innocent too?
Ryan is not the guy you need to manufacture conspiracy theories for. As stated, there is nothing so upstanding about his character, so outstanding that it's not as simple as it looks. He's guilty, he got caught, and that's all it is.